I want to thank you all for coming to join us this morning. In a few moments you'll hear from Secretary of State Jennifer Brunner and Representative Stewart. As thousands of Ohioans head to the polls today for special elections, we're reminded that the cornerstone of our democratic system is the right of our citizens to cast their ballots. And it is the responsibility of those of us in government to make sure that that system is fair, open, and accurate. We've made great strides in recent years under Secretary Brunner. No longer in Ohio do we see ridiculously long lines at the polls and accusations of voter suppression that at one time marred our elections and made the state the target of national skepticism. But there's more work to be done, and that is why we're here today. Our goal is to ensure that Ohio's election process achieves the highest levels of openness, fairness, efficiency, and integrity. Our citizens must have confidence in the system and the laws that govern that system. They must know that their vote will count without the taint of fraud and that the results are accurate. Election laws are constantly being revised and clarified to improve the system. But today we have a unique opportunity to engage in comprehensive reform. Instead of taking a piecemeal approach to change, Ohio has undertaken an effort led by Secretary of State Brunner and Representative Stewart, a top-to-bottom review of how the system works. And the effect has culminated in a bill joint sponsored by myself and Representative Stewart. This process has examined the successes and identified areas that could use improvement. By undertaking comprehensive reform now, we have addressed all aspects of Ohio's voting experience together as a whole. This has produced a seamless package of improvements that will truly make Ohio a leader in election integrity and efficiency. This comprehensive reform will also make life easier for Ohio voters and election officials. Instead of frequent and often bewildering changes in the law, we can now eliminate huge areas of confusion by making necessary changes all at once. The result will be an election process that is fairer, more accurate, and more transparent than ever, one that will make all Ohioans proud. Now I would like to introduce the woman who has dedicated the last 4 years of her life to this standard, Secretary of State Jennifer Brunner.
Thank you, Representative Byrd. I want to explain to you a little bit about how we arrived at where we are today. The process first began less than a month after last year's November election with a summit attended by at least 200 people at the Ohio Historical Society. And it allowed us the opportunity to invite anyone from any interest or any point of view in the election world to give us their perceptions of what they thought went well with the 2008 election and what they thought could be improved. As a result, we identified some specific issue areas, and this was moderated by Larry Norden from the Brennan Center at the New York University School of Law in New York City. So we were able to identify some broad areas where we think that there needs to be some improvement. And then we went forward with a very comprehensive 2-day seminar or conference with those same people and others, and it was very heavy on the election official side as well, to actually roll up our sleeves and to work together and come up with some solutions for those problems. What we see as a benefit to this process was that it allowed us to look at all of the aspects in relation one to another and in relation to the laws that exist right now. One of the things that was a big challenge last year for everyone, and that I think created quite a bit of controversy, was the fact that there had previously been several different changes to the law that had not been really tested working with each other. For instance, with the new laws for no-fault absentee voting, anyone could request an absentee ballot either in person or by mail and vote regardless of what their reason was for voting before the election. But with that, and there was an onslaught of a lot of new voters who voted early, there was already existing in the law an overlap between voter registration and the beginning of absentee voting, so that you had a 5 to 7 day window where literally the law allowed people to register and vote on the same day. Now, because we use the ability to issue directives and to help the boards of elections be ready for that type of a situation, we required that anyone who voted under those circumstances where they registered and voted on the same day had to vote a paper ballot. That is one of the saving graces of having the flexibility of the directive portion of the statute. But had we not done that, that could have been a real calamity. That allowed us to prevent voter fraud, But what we're looking at is a way then, through this bill, that we will not encounter situations like that where there could be the kind of controversy and uncertainty that puts the chief election officer in a position where they have to hold the line despite the different points of view on something that really hadn't been anticipated but should have been anticipated. So we're very pleased that Representative Hurd and Representative Stewart have come forward and are willing to sponsor the legislation that was arrived at by a broad group of people, and especially through bipartisan consensus. And Representative Stewart, I believe, will then be able to explain some of the particular provisions of the bill, and then we can take